We begin our service this morning by lighting a white candle. Because of the war that our country has started with Iran, we light this candle of peace and observe a moment of silence. There we go. All right, let's try that one more time. We begin our service because of the war in Iran that has started. We light this white candle for peace. And I invite you into a moment of silence. The Reverend Micah Busey writes, "May we not meet this news as passively pessimistic observers, but as energized witnesses, assured that every life is sacred, and that empire-addled attacks are never pathways to peace, but always failures of imagination. May all who are directly at risk of harm and hate by safety. May our leaders either be visited by deep wisdom that edifies them or deep resistance that replaces them. And may this fear-filled moment activate all of us to keep finding local ways to embody fierce love as we all work to make every small move toward collaboration tendril out to become global liberation." The words of Samantha Wilson. Samantha offered the call to worship, as some of you may remember, at the installation service for me being installed as the minister here last June. And they were delightful words about paying attention and presence. And so I offer an abridged version of them here again this morning. A call to worship is secretly a call to focus our attention. Choosing to focus our attention is countercultural. Daily, we are called to worship at the altar of many devices, surveillance systems we let take lead over our every waking moment. We are called by headlines set purely on our activation and by tools that gamify our every human connection. We are not called, we are led. We are not led, we are entrapped. Instead, here, we practice being called. We are called by these ancestors, this wood, this room's particular light, this fire, and these children. Spirit of life, call our collective attention to this precise moment, the threshold between then and now. Come, let us worship together. And now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Those of you who are joining us online, if you have a chalice or a candle at home, you are invited to light it now. And I invite you all to to say our chalice lighting words, which are printed in your order of service. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. Our opening hymn this morning, "This Is My Song," is a beautiful one, and it shows up a couple different times in our hymnal with different words. This is a song that I decided on yesterday after hearing the news about the war in Iran. It's a song about peace and understanding across nations, recognizing that we are all part of one world. I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing "This Is My Song." It's number 159 in your gray hymnal, and the words will also be on the screens. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dream, my only shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as thine. Could you pick it up just a little? My country's skies are bluer than the oceans, and sunlight beams on clover field and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as true as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. I invite you to remain risen as we say our affirmation together. We say our church's affirmation both in English and in Spanish as a reminder of the many languages spoken here and in this community and beyond these walls. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls may grow into harmony with the divine. This do we covenant with one another. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Habitar juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y servir a la humanidad juntos, con el fin de que todas las almas puedan crecer en armonía con lo divino. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros. The microphones, our guitarists have them a little bit preemptively.
Here we go. We light this candle, maybe. Get down there. There we go. No? Ah. I wish they'd let. We light this candle in recognition of the Tamian and Muwekma Ohlone indigenous peoples, who were the first humans to inhabit and steward this land thousands of years ago, long before settler colonizers arrived. We honor the resilience of these indigenous peoples in the face of devastating harm. We financially support the Muwekma Preservation Foundation and the Amamutsan Land Trust, and continue to support the integrity of the entire Yurostok tribal cultural landscape alongside the Amamutsan tribal band. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of San Jose. Can I have an amen to that? We are a proud people of many genders and sexualities, and we cherish all other diversities among us, including size, shape, age, color, even religion. It doesn't matter to us. And what we're capable of doing at any given time. We affirm and value neurodivergence. That is, everybody's brain is not exactly alike, and we appreciate that and celebrate that. You are welcome as your whole self in this sacred time and place, no matter who you are or who you love. The mission of this church, our sincere intent, is to make our love visible in what we say and what we do. If you are new here, please reach out and talk with any of us. We truly do value your presence here and appreciate you being here. Bound together by our commitment of making love visible, we gather to deepen our spirits, to work for justice, and to create one sacred family. I am Bruce Halen. My pronouns are he and him, and it's my distinct pleasure today to serve as worship associate for today's service. At this point, I'd like to welcome those of us who could not be in the sanctuary this morning, who are here on Zoom. So as we get our cameras up and running here, and we'll show our Zoomies, and you'll get a chance to wave at them. If you notice the camera here, when it's pointing at you, it's time to wave. Here we are. Here we come. There's our friends out in Zoomland. Just like they're right here in the sanctuary with us. Make them very welcome. And then we'll get a chance. Yeah, there you go. You can wave back at them. There's that camera over there on the left. Now it's swinging around. Here it comes. Okay. The nursery downstairs is open, and children for children from birth through kindergarten are invited to spend the entire service there. Parents are welcome to accompany them to the nursery to help them acclimate. There is a monitor that streams the service to the nursery, so parents will still see the service while their child gets used to the nursery. And I apologize for staring down at my script. I just got this message here. We are still recruiting volunteers for our elementary school group for 1st through 5th graders. If you are new here, please reach out to any one of us. You are also welcome to visit the welcome table, which will be set up after the service during social hour in Hattie Porter Hall. And we are fortunate to have a few coffee hosts, so help yourself to coffee and snacks. We also have 3 ADA accessible restrooms, a single-use gender-neutral restroom, which is right outside the door here. And we have a designated male and female facilities down below, gender-neutral, if you wish to use those. We offer this guidance for bathroom use. Please trust each other to understand which bathroom is appropriate. Okay. Oh,
Need a chair. So, it's time for our story for all ages. So I want to invite anyone who is young or young at heart to join me down here in the labyrinth. So, you may notice me holding this Tibetan singing bowl. This is, as you may know, this is what we use to start off almost every service. We ring it, usually 3 times, as a way to invite us into being present, to signal that we are shifting our energy, we're shifting our attention from one moment of time into another. And one of the things that helps us do is focus our mind, because oftentimes our mind is racing. You may be thinking about, well, what are we going to do downstairs in our RE class this morning? Or maybe you can't wait for a play date that's going to be happening later today, or maybe you're thinking about a birthday party that's upcoming. Sometimes we think that the most important things in life are far away, or that they're really big, like a fancy vacation that we have to potentially wait for. But the truth is that there are lots of small, ordinary moments, like eating breakfast, or walking the dog, or washing our bowl, that are also amazing if we can really focus on them in the present moment. Our Buddhist friends, again, this is primarily a Buddhist tool of mindfulness, really practice that a lot, of trying to be mindful, of paying attention to what's going on in this moment. So with that in mind, I want to tell you a story about a young monk who, with the help of his wise teacher, discovers that paying attention to what is right in front of him is the key to understanding and enjoying life. Now, a young monk had just arrived at the monastery, which is the place where Buddhist monks go to be and study, and he was eager to learn and grow, to learn about what it took to be a Buddhist monk. And so one day, he approached Master Joshu. "Master," he said, bowing low, "I have just entered the monastery. Please give me some guidance." And the master turned to him and said, "Have you had breakfast?" And the monk said, "Yes, master, I have eaten breakfast." Master Joshu smiled slightly and said, "Then go wash your bowl." The monk was confused. "Wash my bowl? Is that all?" The master nodded. "Yes. Wash your bowl fully, not like you are somewhere else. Life is not somewhere else. It is right here with you in this very moment. Right here, right now." And so, from that day on, the young monk remembered when he ate fully, present to what was going on, present to the meal he was eating. When he washed his bowl, he washed it fully, just being there, present as he washed his bowl. And slowly, he learned the secret of being present in every moment. What I love about the story is that it reminds us that being calm isn't just about paying attention, or isn't just about, is that paying attention to the present moment is not just about feeling calm, but also about appreciating and finding meaning in every little aspect of life. Even ordinary things can have great meaning if we give them our attention. And now I'd like to invite you to join me in singing our children's blessing, which we'll sing together before our children go out to their religious education classes. The words are in your order of service and on the screen. There are some hand motions that go with it. If you don't know them, don't worry, they're very simple to follow along. So let's sing. Thanks, friends.
Now is the time in our service when we invite contributions that help our ministries to grow and thrive. You may pay online at sanjoseuu.org/donate to make your offering with a credit card or through PayPal. The target for checks and PayPal must be specified. Use the memo line on the check or the drop-down list in PayPal to specify. Cash donations are given to the monthly charity on a special collection Sunday. Otherwise, they are treated as general donations to the congregation. We pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be. As long as we dig and plant for those who come after us, this church is here because of the offerings of generations who came before us. Let us invest in the future with this morning's offering. Once again, we thank you for paying it forward.
Speaking of paying it forward. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kim Aldridge, the Stewardship Chair for the annual Giving Campaign. Louder, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a petite woman of a certain age wearing yellow and green today. Next Sunday, we celebrate the end of our annual Giving Campaign with Celebration Sunday. Woohoo! Thank you to those who have made their pledges so far. As of now, we're more than halfway, which is great. Halfway to our goal of $450,000. So we're getting there. Your financial pledges help us budget for our 26-27 fiscal year, and we can't finish the budget until your pledges are in. By turning your pledge in by March 8th, you will be making things easier for the volunteers on the Stewardship Committee so they don't have to follow up with you, although they enjoy following up with you. The good news is there are several ways you can pledge. You can pledge at one of the 2 remaining pledge parties. There's a Zoom coming up on Tuesday and an in-person dinner on Friday. Or you can complete your pledge online by going to sanjoseuu.org/pledge. And if you have questions, wish to sign up for a pledge party, or wish to pledge, please visit us in Hattie Porter Hall after the service, and we'll help you out. And now, we'll hear a testimonial from Joseph Stronger about why he supports the church.
Hello, can you hear me? No. All right. So, how about that? Are we good? Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Joseph. As I was just introduced, I've been a member of this church since I was a kid. I have grown up here. I went through the coming of age program that the church does for high school and maybe younger, older, somewhere around their age. And I am very proud to be a UU and proud to be a member of this church. And it's really, to me, it's important for the children. For a while, I was, off doing my own thing, but I've come back recently. In particular, I have a new child who is almost 2 years old. And church, to me, isn't about religion. It's about fellowship. It's about having a community. And I was raised with a wonderful community here, and I'm looking forward to bringing my son up in that community as well. One of my favorite things about the UUs is part of that process is our sexuality education program. It's called Our Whole Lives, and it really does help with identity and relationships and all sorts of interpersonal relationships, being a good person to others. And it has programs now as early as kindergarten and up to into adulthood. I was proud in college to be a beta tester of their young adult program, in addition to having gone through the program as a teenager. And it's very important to me. It was developed by the UUs and the United Church of Christ in partnership. The program is actually starting soon. There are flyers in the front on the desk there. if you have interest or children that have interest. It is a wonderful program, and I am looking forward to my kid being part of it once he is able to, let's say, understand language. And that's really the biggest part of why I am proud to be a member of the church, and why I am looking forward to supporting the church now. And what was that? My last two sentences. I'm looking forward to my kid going through the OWL program as soon as he can understand language. And that's very important to me as a member of this church, and I'm looking forward to supporting us. So yeah, thank you.
Hello. There we are.
Testing. Great.
We are Guitars Aloud. On my far right is Jim, and then Curtis here on electric guitar, and my name is Ray. And if you know this song, bear with us. Thank you.
Do you want to say what the song is?
This is On the Turning Away by Pink Floyd. On the turning away from the pale and downtrodden, and the words that they say which we don't understand. Don't accept that what's happening is just a case of other suffering. Oh, you'll find that you're joining in the turning away. It's a sin that somehow light is changing to shadow and casting its shroud over all we have known. Unaware how the ranks have grown, driven on by a heart of stone. We could find that we're all alone in the dream of the proud. On the wings of the night, as the daytime is slurring, where the speechless unite in a silent accord. Using words you will find a strain, mesmerized by the light, the flame. Feel the new wind of change on the wings of the night. more turning away from the weak and the weary. No more turning away from the coldness inside. Just a world that we all must share. It's not enough to just stand and stare. Is it only a dream that there'll be no more turning away?
Thank you for that. What Ray didn't say was that he wasn't actually going to be the lead vocalist for this morning's song, but our lead vocalist was out sick today. So thank you for stepping in because the music must go on. We come together in community to share with one another, to support one another, to celebrate with one another. And we also come together knowing that there are bigger joys and sorrows than in just our lives, larger ones out in the world. And so, as we begin our embracing meditation, we hold in our hearts all of those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. And we remember, too, that in the midst of pain, in the midst of all that pain, there is also celebration and joy in the world. And we honor that joy and sorrow are woven together. And so now we take time to lift up our joys and sorrows, the names and occasions that are on our hearts this morning. In a moment, I'll sound this singing bowl, and after I do, I invite you to speak aloud into this space or type into the chat if you're joining us online with words overlapping other words, any joys or sorrows, any names or occasions that you would like lifted up into this community in this, our embracing meditation. Lisa Moore and Brendan and Mary.
Democracy in the United States of America.
People living in fear. People who've lost family.
Yesterday's family gathering.
Bruce Goodson.
Bruce Springsteen.
Frederick Chopin, born today, sometime ago.
Yes.
1810.
All that has been shared and all that is too tender yet to share, and which we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We offer these into the embrace of this beloved community. And if speaking those words aloud into the space is not quite enough, if you need a listening ear this week, after the service, you can stop by the pastoral care table in the hall where you can light a candle and talk to our pastoral associate of the week. You can also just light a candle in silence. And at any time, you can email pastoralassociates@sanjoseuu.org. That email address is in the order of service, to be in touch with our pastoral associate of the week. Remember that you are not alone.
In the spirit of this month's theme, I'm going to model a worship after a form of silent worship that is common in the Quaker Friends tradition. Like I said, Quakers are also known as the Religious Society of Friends for a good reason. Quaker worship is a time of quiet contemplation. Participants minister to each other. The ministry comes directly from the inner stirrings of those attending the meeting, as they call it, that day. Quaker worship is commonly called Friends Meeting, as it is a meeting of friends, sort of like here. There is a Quaker Friends Meeting that is not Unitarian in San Jose as well. Quaker meetings have just a few messages that come during a silent worship, and sometimes worship services can go weeks without anyone offering any wisdom into the silence. I first experienced this form of worship in my hometown of Visalia, California in the early 1980s. In fact, it was through the Quakers that I met my first Unitarian Universalists. We got together for an Easter potluck under the shade of giant valley oak trees out east of town, just off the road to Sequoia National Park. At first, I was content sitting in these services in silence, but not quite understanding exactly what I could possibly contribute into this sacred space. As I listened to thoughtful and sincere words, I lost my place. Sorry. I will do that. Thank you. As I listened to thoughtful and sincere words, some personal anecdotes, sometimes a religious text reference, my own thoughts began to bubble up. There were moments when I felt stirrings inside. If I had to ask myself if this was the right time to speak, if I had to ask myself if it was the right time to speak, it probably wasn't. For me, it was a sensation of my beating heart, sort of like being up here as a worship associate in front of you, that told me that the time was right to share into the silence. So listen to yourself. What might stir you to speak into the silence? And as you're contemplating, remember that the silence is a shared and sacred space. We will enter the silence with the sound of the singing bowl and remain in the silence for approximately 10 minutes. We'll come back to the world gently. So find yourself a comfortable spot. If you need to get up for some reason during the 10 minutes, please do it quietly and return in the same way. And one last note. Think of messages from others as gifts. Even if we don't recognize the source or the language used, there may be something in it that speaks to us. Experienced Quakers can set an example by sharing their ministry and aim for the universal rather than the personal. So kind of think of today's worship, this part of the worship, as an extended session of deep listening. The only difference is that today's listening will come from the inside and the outside. Please join me into the silence with the ringing of the singing bowl.
One quick thing before we do that. We're going to sing together. Find a Stillness. It's number 352 in your gray hymnal. You're invited to remain seated for this. And so we'll sing, it's a couple verses, we'll sing it through and then ring the singing bowl, just to kind of ground us into that spirit, into this moment of paying attention, finding a stillness. hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find tomorrow morning. Seek the essence, hold the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find tomorrow morning. Yesterday, as I heard airplanes flying overhead, I couldn't help but think about the people for whom airplanes flying overhead meant much worse things. I really appreciated that time just to be able to sit in silence, even though at times it was a little challenging thinking about that space, but just to have that opportunity to be present with my thoughts and to reflect on what matters, what's important. It's so rare in this world, right? When there's so much hustle and bustle, our attention is so often pulled in every direction. Modern life is full of Sorry. Hello? Yeah, no, I'm leading a worship service right now. I'll give you a call back in a minute. Like I said, modern life is full of distractions. Oh, somebody liked my comment on Facebook. Great. Ooh, boy. The news just keeps coming and coming. Like I said, or what was I saying? Modern life is full of distractions, so many things that want our time and attention. The chime that signals a new text or an email. Was it anything important? The news alert. My friend, potential spam, seems to want to talk a lot, but whenever he calls, he never has anything worthwhile to say. Now, I know there's no phones at the dinner table, but let me just check the Weather Channel app to find out what time it's supposed to start raining. And hey, look, there's that email draft that I didn't get around to sending. And Dad, no phones at the dinner table. By now, we know all too well that these devices and apps have been actually designed to be addicting, using our own psychology against us to keep us actively using them. Each ding, each colorful burst as we open up this colorful, bright iPhone or smartphone screen, a dopamine hit. Oh, did I just feel my phone buzz? And then I pat my pants pockets only to find that there's no phone there at all. Of these sorts of distractions, in his essay, A Life of Depth in an Age of Distraction, J.W. Bertolotti writes, "Nothing dramatic happened, but something important did. My attention got spent in tiny, almost invisible ways, like loose change disappearing one coin at a time." William James, the American philosopher and psychologist, helps explain why this feels so costly. He teaches us that distraction isn't only a productivity problem, it's a formation problem. Your life isn't only what happens to you, it's what you let in. It's what you linger on. Last week, I wasn't here because I was just returning from a trip to go skiing in the mountains. And one of the things that I love about skiing is that I'm not looking at my phone. One, it's too hard because you've got the gloves and you'd have to take it in and out, and you can't do it with the gloves. But to just be present there, to the activity that you're doing. It's also the same reason I love backpacking, an opportunity to get away, because there isn't anything else to do than just to be present with what's happening at that moment. Gardening, too, one of the things I love about gardening is that it's something that demands my attention, that I give it so much of my attention. And it's something, because I enjoy it so much, I'm all too happy to give my attention to it. Because there are so many things demanding my attention, demanding our attention these days. So many of my adult friends are discovering or wondering if they have ADHD. And some of that is because there's a growing awareness of ADHD and that it shows up differently, particularly in women, so it has been underdiagnosed. But the other part is that so many of us are increasingly distracted by the technology, this technology that surrounds us, that our brains haven't evolved to be able to actually navigate. Our brains didn't evolve to have all of these things constantly coming and going and vying for attention. Nor were we meant to deal with the onslaught of news, of difficult news that bombards us regularly. Each new shock, distressing and destabilizing. Amidst everything else going on, and as I said, I was on vacation last week, so coming back, I had quite a busy week, a lot of things to attend to catch up on in the midst of everything else that's going on in the world. And so on Thursday, I'm getting news alerts telling me that the state of Kansas has invalidated the driver's license of thousands of trans people, effective immediately. And so, with their now invalidated driver's license, they risk jail time or a $1,000 fine just for driving with a license that they may have had with their correct gender pronouns for 20 years. It's a program that's lasted this long and now gone. It's distressing. The next day, I heard that Scouting America, the group formerly known as Boy Scouts, will not allow trans youth to be part of troops of their own gender, as well as eliminating anything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I just want to say, it makes me much prouder that my kid is part of Girl Scouts, which has done truly a great job of being welcoming and inclusive of trans and non-binary children, a process that started in earnest about 15 years ago. And they've done an excellent job. And just as a way of saying, there may be Girl Scout cookies for sale in the hall after the service. But all of this makes getting the work that I needed to get done, like what I needed to write for the newsletter on Friday, as this news is coming across, harder to do because I can't focus. So many things sometimes pinging directly at me, sometimes just thoughts popping into my head. Oh, there's this. Oh, and then there's this. And so, I didn't get the newsletter done during the day. And then later on Friday evening, I was on solo parenting duty. And there was a challenging but worthwhile phone conversation that I needed to have. So I sent my daughter off to play a math game on her school computer in her room. And while trying to have this conversation on the phone, I tried to make a simple dinner. Now, I love cooking, and it's rarely a simple dinner. The kitchen is one of the places where I get to practice, I guess, my art, my craft. And to me, cooking a meal, preparing a meal takes whatever time it takes, to the occasional frustration of my hungry family. But to me, it's an important opportunity for me to give my attention to something. This, of course, was not one of those nights. So by the time the conversation was over, the sourdough grilled cheese sandwiches with vegan cheese were getting cold. And so I warmed them up, though reheated grilled cheese, whether vegan or not, is never as good. But nevertheless, I was grateful for having had the conversation. And then, as we always do, my daughter and I sat down and said our nightly blessing before dinner. It is a blessing. It is a blessing to be. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here together. To ground us back in the moment with whatever thoughts, no matter what thoughts are running through my head. It is a blessing to be here together now in this moment. Eating our slightly too dry and chewy vegan grilled cheese sandwiches. And taking time to reflect on and share with each other what was good about our day. After dinner, I could have sent my daughter off to just go watch some TV before bed. But I knew that probably wasn't the best use of my time as a parent. And so we sat down and watched the delightful show, Steven Universe, that we'd been watching together, even though I was thinking I should be working on the newsletter. And then we read a truly heartwarming book, Kate DiCamillo's Because of Winn-Dixie. And then I made up the next chapter in our ongoing bedtime story, interrupted briefly by a phone buzzing in my pocket, my father calling. It can wait. I sing the song I always sing, Blowing in the Wind, one which has become so embedded in my brain, I don't really have to think about it to sing it, so my mind often wanders. And then I catch myself. I should be cherishing these moments while they last. And yes, how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? After bedtime, I was just sitting down to work on my newsletter article when I received a call from my mom. That's right, my dad had called a few minutes ago. She tells me that Lisa Moore, a close family friend who we've known for more than 30 years, died. Although we knew it was coming, it came faster than we were expecting. My mom was over at Lisa's house with Lisa's son Brendan and her sister Mary when she died. They called asking if I could be a pastoral presence, to offer some words or a prayer. And we talked for 40 beautiful minutes, expressing grief and gratitude, telling stories, making the sort of smart-ass jokes that Lisa would have made. And yes, she would have wanted me to say smart-ass and not smart-aleck. I offered a reading and a prayer, but mostly I offered my attention and presence. And it was a true blessing to be able to be a chaplain and a friend for them in that time of life-changing, life-shaking grief and transition. Very powerful for me in my own process of healing and grief. The newsletter can wait until tomorrow morning. These are the moments that matter. And then I wake up on Saturday morning to find our country at war. I scramble about to find out whatever horrifying information I can. Checking the various news feeds, wondering what words my ministerial colleagues are going to say about it in the worship service. What am I going to say about it? What do I have to offer in the face of something so big? It was not a productive morning. I did eventually get the article for the newsletter done, but my brain was in a million places. And so, even though I had more work to do preparing for this service, I set it aside and spent some time in the garden, watering and tending and picking a few delicious snap peas. I played with the cats. They are careless, just past a kitten energy, hard to not be present with. Sometimes the universe tells us to pay attention. Years ago, I was on the way to see the band Hooray for the Riff Raff in concert in LA with some of my friends. As dusk fell, we were driving around looking for parking, not wanting to pay for the $25 parking lot, when we mistakenly turned down an alleyway. Now, this alley, like some in downtown LA and in many downtown areas, was lined with the tents and makeshift shelters of unhoused folks. It seemed fitting. You see, the band Hooray for the Riff Raff is fronted by Linda Segarra, who had spent several years living as an itinerant musician on the streets of New Orleans and touring by hopping freight trains across the country. Experiences that they wrote about in their music. And here we were driving down that alley with similar people. The weak and the weary, the pale and the downtrodden, in the words of our song, living on the margins of society, watching as we passed by. And then, the alley that we were driving down dead-ended at a chain-link fence. Now, mind you, this was not a wide alley, and there was no way to turn the car around, so I had to drive backwards, which is already a difficult thing to do under the best circumstances, for some 500 feet, again passing by these folks that society had turned away from and shunted off on some dead-end urban alley, out of sight and out of mind. I felt that the universe was telling me to pay attention. Pay attention to my fellow human beings. Pay attention to what matters. Meanwhile, the writer Justine Cho writes, our entire attention economy is organized around helping us avoid the demands of other people. How many of us have retreated to the comfort of our screens to soothe our social anxiety or to numb the guilt we feel at failing to show up for people, she asks. It turns out that the loss of our focus and ability to concentrate is just the tip of the attentional iceberg. Also at stake is our ability to be present to the people that we love, and even to be present with ourselves in our own pain. And so I'm grateful that I took the time to be present for Lisa and her family. And even as hard as it was, and knowing how complicated it is to know when to pay attention and when to stop paying attention for our own well-being, because like I said, we as humans were not meant to deal with this amount of news coming at us from all across the world, so much difficult news. I'll have more to say about that in the service on the 22nd, I want to say. And how we strike that balance for honoring our pain for the world while not being consumed by it. But I think it's important to let our spirits be moved by what is happening in the world. The journalist Oliver Berkman, who writes about time and attention, says, "Your experience of being alive consists of nothing other than the sum of everything to which you pay attention. At the end of your life, looking back, whatever compelled your attention from moment to moment is simply what your life will have been." May we use our attention well. No matter how hard it may be in these days and times, to use your intuition, to trust your heart to know what is important in this moment and in the next. What we pay attention to becomes our life. May we choose to live our lives well. Amen, and blessed be. I'd like to bring your attention to a couple of announcements. As Joseph mentioned, we have an OWL program, Our Whole Lives program, two of them that are starting up. One, which we're going to be doing here, is an 8th and 9th grade OWL program. And then there's also one that we're partnering with the Sunnyvale, Los Gatos, and Fremont congregations for a K-1 OWL. It's a fantastic program. As someone who's been through its predecessor, as someone who's taught it, who's taught OWL, I can say it's fantastic. So if you know of anyone, a family member or friend of the family who you think might be interested, please let them know about it. There's information about that in the e-news or in the order of service and at sanjoseuu.org/owl. Also, there have been so many announcements that have been happening in February. I understand why we don't normally, this year we decided to do our open enrollment for small group ministries in February. The reason why that's not a great idea is because we have all these other things like testimonials about our stewardship drive. So I just want to draw attention to that today. So our small groups are a great way to make connections with other folks, to deepen your own spirituality in relationship with other people, to have that sort of deep time presence with people where you're just there listening and sharing and present in a way that so often we miss in our daily lives. So if you'd like to sign up for one, today is a great day to do that. If you'd like to, if you may think it might be time to switch to a new group, that's also a great time. Our open enrollment ends at basically today. So stop by the small group ministry table if that's something you're interested in. And finally, after the service, we have our starting point workshop, which is for those who are new to Unitarian Universalism or returning after a while back or new to this congregation to learn a little bit more about this church and to do it in a group. Again, an opportunity to connect with one another. You can also learn a little bit more about the small group ministries. I think they'll be touching on that in this session. So that's after the service in the youth room. At 12:45, there will be a light lunch and childcare provided. Also, our small group, our social justice ministry is downstairs in the downstairs in the boardroom, or conference room, and our writers group is in the fireside room. So lots of opportunities, information about all of those is in your order of service. And now I'd like to bring us to a close with our closing hymn. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing Voice Still and Small. It's number 391 in the gray hymnal. invite you now to, as you feel, if you feel comfortable, to take hands or bump elbows, maybe touch a shoulder, make a connection with someone nearby you. To those of you joining us on Zoom, I invite you to send your energy out to us and to each other as we send ours out to you. I offer these words from the Reverend McHale Collins. As you leave this space made sacred by our presence, may you practice the art of truly noticing yourself with honesty, others with compassion, the world with clear eyes. Remember that attention is love made deliberate. So go with courage to look closely, to stay present, to let what you witness reshape you as well as the world. May it be so.